Alright guys, the big day has finally arrived and we have our first moving truck. I requested a 20 footer and I end up getting a 26. So I'm gonna end up having more truck than I've got stuff to go in this first load, but that's alright. It just means I don't have to worry about packing everything in as tightly as I normally do. So I've already loaded up the mom's attic space and I've loaded a whole bunch of boxes up top. It has a 500-pound load capacity up there, so I made sure that basically every box I put up there was around 10 to 15 pounds to keep my math simple and make sure I wasn't overloading that space. Then I tied everything off with military 550 cord, which is a great way to secure everything. And the first large furniture I'm bringing into the truck is going to be my bed frame, because I know from past experience that if I put this up front, I can load up these box style bed frames with lots of stuff, boxes and miscellaneous items, and then just free up more space here in the truck. So before we brought the bed frame in, we did a lot of preloading. This way, the day prior to bringing in the actual furniture, we had as much of the boxes that we had packed ready to go, and as much of the containers in there, so that way, once I got the actual furniture starting to come in, I could just start throwing things into those spaces, making things work, and seeing what fit best to be able to maximize all of my space at the very beginning. Once I got the bed frame in, I packed it full as best as I could, and then tied it off, and we started going to work on the other pieces of furniture. Once I had the bed frame packed as best I could, I brought in one of my dressers. And then I started to pack it with some of my clothing bags that I had made. And then once that was full, before I moved on and put anything else in front of it, I started filling the space up above all the boxes on the mom's attic area. And this is just where you're gonna throw in some light stuff, blankets, towels, pillows, stuff like that. Just stuff it full up there. You don't need that space. You really don't want to put anything else big and heavy up there because it could possibly fall. So just shove it full with stuff that is, soft and doesn't weigh anything. I was then ready to bring in another dresser and repeat the same process I did with the first one, putting as much stuff as I could in the drawers. And then once it was in place and I was pretty much set and ready to tie it down, I first started taking measurements of the area that I had left. And sometimes you might want to stop if you're really trying to pack in your furniture really well. Take some measurements, make sure that what you want to bring in will fit in that area, and maybe if what you originally intended wasn't going to work out quite right, then maybe take some measurements of something else and see if you can fit it into that space instead. Go ahead and be ready to mix things up on the fly if necessary, but always confirm to make sure before you bring it out that that's exactly what you're going to fit in that space. An important thing to remember when packing a moving truck is that this is a lot like packing a rucksack for the military, or if you've ever been hiking before and you pack like a hiking day bag. You want to pack your heaviest stuff closest to the front of the truck, closest to where you're strongest, basically. Furniture, washers and dryers, anything large and heavy needs to be up front, and then you pack your lighter stuff as you go back through the truck. Now, more important though than like when you're doing a rucksack, for a moving truck, you're really looking for load balance. Although that's important for anything you're gonna wear on your back for balancing and making sure that it doesn't wear you out too much, it's really important for a moving truck because of the fact that you're so high off of the ground. There's a possibility that if you hit the brakes real hard or you go into a turn too fast, you have the possibility of tipping over. Load balance left and right is extremely important. So if you put, say, a 400-pound item on the left side of the truck, you need to balance out with 400 pounds on the right side of the truck to the best of your ability. Another thing to keep in mind is not overloading your furniture. Just because your furniture, like your desk or your dresser, is heavy and it feels sturdy when you bring it in, or it was difficult to move and you took like 2 people to carry it and you think to yourself, oh, well, this can take a tremendous amount of weight. That's not always true. There's gonna be weak points in that, and you don't necessarily wanna go and load, say, 500 pounds of boxes on top of your desk or on top of your dresser. So be mindful that even though you have a lot of vertical space in moving trucks, that doesn't mean you need to pack it all to the ceiling to have a well-packed truck. Sometimes there's just too much weight on top of stuff, and that can cause problems, and you end up breaking some of your furniture just trying to shove everything in there. I I did end up packing a few items last minute the morning of. So we got up around 6 a.m. and we wanted to leave around 9. So I left a few items like my mattress and our TV to the last minute that morning. The TV primarily because of the weather. It was extremely cold that night and we were worried about the screen breaking in the truck by reaching below freezing temperatures. The mattress because we needed to use it. So if you are going to load several items, say last minute, just a few hours prior to leaving like we did, make sure that you've already left a space in the truck for those items. And this is where the measuring tape can come into play to make sure that you've measured out that location, that the item will fit, and you don't have to go and rearrange your whole truck last minute because that will cause a lot of stress on you. Alright guys, the truck is now fully packed. We did most of the packing yesterday, but had to stop when it got too dark and we were just way too tired. So we finished it up this morning. It's not quite as neat as I would have liked, especially here at the end. We kind of just started shoving stuff in to make it fit and to meet our timeline. But overall, it's pretty good. This truck was bigger than I wanted, and I had a lot more space to play with, so I didn't have to pack it quite as tight as I would normally. And I think it turned out pretty good. Nothing should break. Hopefully we'll get to the other end and nothing will be broken. So we're about to get on the road here in a minute. If you noticed while I did the packing, if you watched our previous videos, you would have saw that I did a lot of those tips that I pointed out. So leave some comments down below if you spotted them, and go ahead and mark them and put a timestamp and say, hey, I caught you doing this at this time and it really worked. So I hope you guys learned something here. And I'm sorry that we didn't have more of the footage. I know we only did about half of it, and then you missed out on the second half, and that's just because it got too dark on us last night. But I really want to get on the road here and get out of the cold. It's freaking freezing. It's below freezing right now. So hope you guys learned something. We'll see you next week.